Royce Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, Mr. Money Talk. So people have been trying to figure out, what do we call this deep? We got the bad boy defense from the 80s. What do we call this Clamps defense? And someone jumped in here on Twitter. I want to give the proper credit to this person with, I think, a potential great nickname. It's from Black Beckham on Twitter, with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels sort of leading the point of attack.
Mm-hmm.
How about Gnaw and Order?
Gnaw and Order ain't bad.
Gnaw, and then every time they get a defensive stop at Target Center, you could have the
play that
dun
music.
dun.
Play the Law and Order music. And let me say this: I'm proud to tell you this. After 25 years, I've never watched an episode. Okay, so
Judd can fill you in on all of them.
But I've heard the music. That's for damn sure. So that is very good. That is very good. I was thinking of something involving Pack, but every nickname they have involves the Pack. So that is really good. I don't think you got to look anymore, do you?
Because it's Gnaw and Order.
Who brings
and then
more
dun
order
for a defensive stop?
More order to the defense than McDaniels, right? That could become like, because McDaniels needs a nickname anyway. He could be Order. So although
you could have a narration for it in the Timberwolves defensive system,
the Target Center system.
Yeah, I mean, this is perfect.
It is
brilliant.
What's the guy's name? Congrats! Send him a T-shirt.
Black Beckham. Yeah, we'll send him something.
Send him something.
We'll make the shirts. We'll steal the idea, steal the profits, and we'll give him credit on Twitter.
Thanks.
So we will not do that. We will not do that.
You know that I'm very proud of some of the nicknames I've given people through the years. Sir Rodney carried for many years, just that on crew and things like that. But this is fantastic. I love this. It's Law and Order. I think we're gonna have to break that out.
By the way, the guy that they clamped the most, Jamal Murray, talked to the media for the first time. Was it yesterday? Mm-hmm. It had been 2 days since the towel throwing, the heating pack throwing, the money sign. And so finally reporters got to ask him questions. So the first question was about, hey, what kind of happened there? And he said, well, it is what it is. I take full responsibility, but now we're moving forward. And then the next question is very Belichick-y. And then the next question was like, well, but what kind of happened out there? Did you just get frustrated? He goes, we're just looking ahead. That was 2 days ago. Okay. We're moving forward. And then the third attempt, he just stares at the reporter and says, do you have any basketball questions? Anybody? Mm-hmm. No. And then he walks away. So
you know who he needed? He needed Gene Harrington to ask him, Jamal, do you want to talk about being a complete jackass in game 2, or would you like to talk about the next basketball game going up? And then Jamal could have said, I want to talk about that game 3. That's it. That could have been, Gene could have bailed him out just like he did Dante way back.
Vote of the Bears.
You want to talk about the heating pack or the wolf pack? You tell us.
Yeah, right. Wow. How much whining have they done beyond off the court? I mean, did Malone rip the refs at all verbally?
No, Malone ripped his team. So the best soundbite from Malone yesterday was, I just got done telling the guys at practice, we are the defending champions. Start acting and playing like the defending champions. So he's putting it on his guys in the locker room.
But how about the coach acting like the defending champion and not making excuses for them? And you know who picked up that mantle from Malone was Carlisle last night. It's because they got 117 points, but they're getting the Knicks are getting away with murder on defense or something. So
Carlisle makes the comment about, he said, small market teams deserve a chance too, and he called out the NBA for.
Oh, wow.
And then they submitted 78 plays from games 1 and 2 to the league that they thought were incorrectly called against the Pacers.
Really?
78 plays from games 1 and 2.
OKC and Minnesota are fine in the playoffs.
Right? Yes, yeah. And I mean, it's being refereed that way all over the league. They're letting you kind of bump guys on the break and stuff like I saw it. Did you see the play Brunson got hurt on?
Yeah.
Somebody basically came up and blocked him as he was trying to cut to where he wanted to go. and there was no call there. That was a no call against a pretty big market team there, the Knicks. So
Yeah.
I like the way it's being officiated. If you want 45 fouls on each team, I don't like that. So
Agreed.
it is unbelievable though. I said this on Twitter last night. Those of us who still watch Bally afterwards, we got the Twins post game, right? And Judd and I live for the Twins post game to see what Lodge has got to say, right? I don't think he was on last night though.
No, he's been off.
But afterwards, they all of a sudden this complete stranger starts doing a Wolves post game. Some guy I've never seen before in my life, starting with our Wolves special coverage at 11:30 last night or something like that. So
Is it like someone local from?
I don't know who he was. I don't know who he was.
Does Bally's have like a national NBA hub and they're
No. Maybe this guy's been around and I just missed him. I don't know. But complete stranger talking Wolves. We're all on the bandwagon. There's no doubt.
Was it
about
Telly
that.
Hughes? Was it Telly Hughes or Robbie?
He probably works cheap. That's my guess.
Telly Hughes. I love Telly Hughes. I miss
Telly
him
was
when he
great.
left the
Telly was
market,
great.
man. Telly could say
Hughes.
the most obvious thing with enthusiasm that I've ever heard. So it was great. So
Where'd
I'm
Telly go?
looking through their
Milwaukee?
Twitter trying to see who this was.
Yeah.
I'm curious now.
Did Telly go to
It was white
Milwaukee?
hair.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
It was a white guy with curly hair or something. I don't know who he was. I don't know.
It was
who
Chase
he was.
Budinger, actually.
No, it wasn't Chase
volleyball
Budinger.
player.
I'll come up with a sketch of him. White guy with curly hair.
Yeah, that's right. So what are you guys gonna do here? When are you gonna get the ball game on watching our Twins, man?
Well, Judd is 9 days into life without. So Judd has used the old school radio. He has shown up to the ballpark. He's even got like me and Declan just calling in updates to his phone. Okay, bottom second, runners on second, third.
My phone
like those
out
AP
sometimes.
updates.
We actually should stick to Wolves fever here, but I gotta say that was a good win last night because that Kirby is good. I guess I didn't realize how good Seattle's starting pitching is and how bad their hitting is. God, they strike out at a rate that it would embarrass the Twins early this season. It's amazing. What do they got? 38 or 9 strikeouts in 3 games, right?
It's rough. Yeah.
It's awful. And they got, Logan Gilbert's on the mound on Thursday. That's their best pitcher. Good luck to the Twins hitters for that one because he's going to be shoving today.
Yeah, you got to beat him 2-1. Yeah, to beat him. But Kirby, they go out and hit 3 home runs off him. It was pretty. He's good. But man alive, how'd they get themselves this lineup? And they're putting a lot of stock in Ty France, who's down one of those grooves where he strikes out every time he hits, which is you hate to see that.
Trevor Larnach, I want to ask you about. We kind of wrote him off, former first-round pick, and this might be his last shot to really take a spot here long-term. He's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think when they don't play him against a right-handed pitcher, they're making a mistake. I had this hot take thought last night as I was waiting to shut the water off at 3:30 this morning on the pool. That as we were redoing it, I would rather have Donovan Solano and Michael A. Taylor than Margot and Carlos Santana. I would have rather had those 2 guys, kept those 2 guys, not have Santana. And Margot has been awful. They gave us a pretty over the hill body in those guys. They had a better bench last year with these guys. But Larnach, why is Santana ever playing against right-handed pitching instead of him? I don't get it. The guys.
Is it because they like his glove enough at first base?
Kirilloff yesterday.
Did you see Kirilloff save our guy Eddie Air yesterday?
Yes. Great.
Eddie had a off game.
He threw him the one hopper that was impossible to catch, and Kirilloff picked it in a close game. So I've been down on that. And Carlos did pop up and hit a couple of 3 home runs in 4 days or something, but I don't get it. I do not get. By the way, Solano's back in the big leagues. Where did I see him the other day?
Oh, really?
He's playing. Yeah, he's back in
Okay.
the big leagues. He's
Yeah,
playing.
they have Larnach DHing almost exclusively. He is dealing with a little bit of a foot issue, which is why he's been DHing for the last 2 weeks. But you can't take his bat out of the lineup right now. Him and Jeffers are their 2 best hitters.
That who was watching? Who was watching in the 8th inning?
I was.
Who was watching?
Not me.
That ball Jeffers hit down the left field line for
Yeah.
a double was amazing. It was in on his knuckles, and the guy had just struck out. Who hits ahead of who hit? Was it Correa? He just struck out with this nasty
Yes.
sinker that was going about
Yes.
92, and somehow Jeffers got that thing down the third base line and kept it fair. Provis was bragging about it on TV, and he was right too. That was a hellacious swing. What a amazing story he's become, Jeffers. I mean, the idea that he'd be hitting 1, 2, or 3 with you a couple of years is incredible.
Solano is a Padre.
That's
Okay.
right. That's
He
right.
was just picked up by the Padres.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
probably gonna get the at bat swing when Louis Arise doesn't. Do you think they got enough infielders out there now in San Diego? My God. Anyway, what do we think of who's going to show up for Denver on Friday night?
I would be shocked.
How are they going to play?
I would be shocked if they don't come out in the first 6 minutes with everything. I think they're going to come out with everything that they can, championship caliber Denver for the first 6 minutes. And then the question's going to be if the Wolves brace for it and punch back and force Denver to call the first timeout, does that end the series? Like, I think the first 6 minutes are going to be really interesting in this game.
Jokic is going to do everything in his power to make the officials not call a foul on him. He is going to
Physical
mug people, knock people down, and he's going to, here I am, the MVP for the 3rd time, and we'll see how it's officiated those first 6 or 7 minutes. If they let the Wolves play defense again or not, that will be very interesting. Because you always used to talk about home cooking even in the NBA, but maybe the big call with 4 seconds to go in a game, that it's that way. But a lot of them are obstinate enough now that they like to be the opposite of the home cooking. So it will be interesting how it's officiated.
Yeah.
But I don't think the NBA can change in midstream, can it? It can't start saying we're gonna officiate. Is Scott showing up Friday night?
That's what I was going to look up if I could find out.
Do we have the officials listed yet? I have not seen.
I don't think they list them until the day of the game, but maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Day
Maybe
before
I'm
now.
wrong.
The day
they
before,
do
so we
list
will
them the
find
day
out
before.
today.
Yeah.
All right. He was. Did he have last night's? I saw him last night or the night before. He had a game someplace. So.
Pat, not that this would factor into like what I think people get too caught up in the conspiracy theories and Rick Carlisle added fuel to it, but independent of the NBA influencing it, my question to you is, what would be better for the NBA? The Nuggets making another run, getting back in the series and winning back-to-back, or Anthony Edwards making a run, a surprise championship, and becoming much more of the face of the NBA?
Let me say 2 things. Anthony Edwards for sure, because people are just raving about him in this market. Minnesota and Denver are basically the same market. I've always said that town's more like us than any place, except it's got mountains and doesn't get as much snow generally. But it's more like us than any place. But the idea that if they beat Denver, that it's look out NBA Finals, here we come. I would say they'd be a slight favorite, but Oklahoma City is good and young and harder to guard than Denver.
I agree.
Because they're gonna be going other places faster than Denver gets there. They don't rely on lobs to Aaron Gordon. And our guy, the skinny kid from here, is phenomenal, Chet Holmgren. And they got the other guy who's one of the 3-4 best players in the league. even if you get through Denver, and I think they will, obviously, it's not getting easier. You're no cinch to get past Oklahoma City, that's for sure.
No, I think that OKC Dallas series might go 6 or 7 because like Dallas wasn't great in the first
Oh
game.
man,
Luka
no.
Doncic is shooting like 18 or 15% from 3-point range in the playoffs. At some point, he's going to start making shots again. But
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
that
Oklahoma
could.
City's interesting.
Yeah, that could go a long way. And they get I think the home court needs someplace because the referees go in and they see that collection of hillbillies. They're afraid they're going to get the crap beat out of them if they're going to storm down on the field and on the court and beat them up and stomp them with their cowboy boots. So that's a different kind of. You notice that Charles Barkley. Used to talk about the fat girls from San Antonio, but he doesn't
Yeah.
say the same thing about Oklahoma City. He's afraid he'd get the hell beat out of him.
Yeah, they'll come get him.
They will come and get him.
Speaking
That's
of
for
Dallas
sure.
OKC tonight, the crew chief, Scott Foster, the
Oh, okay.
umpire, Ed Malloy. This is potentially
Okay.
good news because I don't
won't
think they
have
would
him.
have a game here then tomorrow night.
No, they will not be here. We might have Tony, though. Tony Brothers. We might have Tony.
Yeah, Tony Brothers not on the schedule for this evening.
Hey, why did you get, Phil, why did you get in trouble with cat fans on
God.
Twitter? What was that about?
Oh man. Oh, so okay. This is
You
what
got some
happens. This is what happens now, as you know. First of all, in today's society, it's impossible to subscribe to something that you love and buy into something that you love, whether it's a player, a team, or whatever, and also be critical of it. You must be 100% loyal to everything and be tribalistic. It's sort of scary. People
Nobody
were pulling.
knows that better than a fat old 78-year-old sports writer. I'll tell you that.
So that's the first force here, but people went back and found, because I tweeted some praise for Karl Anthony Towns, that he's been a revelation in these playoffs. If you look at his efficiency numbers this year compared to other playoffs, it's not even close. And people started going back and screenshotting my old critical tweets of Cat from like 2020, 2022. You're flip-flopping. Admit that you were wrong. Apologize. Well, no. When he was flailing around like an immature child and blowing 26-point leads and fouling out against Memphis, and when he was shooting 25% in half of his games, he deserved criticism. And now that he's playing highly efficient, poised basketball, he deserves praise. Anyways,
it's sports, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes you have a good year. Sometimes you have a lousy year. When you have a lousy year, it is pointed out. When you have a good year, and Cat's been a revelation. The fact that he is fit right in. And, last year when he came back, I give him a somewhat of a pass for the way he played because he missed 51 games in a row, right? But this year he's been a new Cat. He's enjoying this. And really, who would have thought 4 or 5 years ago that he wouldn't have gotten out of here? That he wouldn't have tried to get out of here, this market. Did you ever think this was a place that he wanted to stay for his whole life?
I thought the writing was on the wall for clearly, like I was calling for it 2 years ago, but I thought the writing was on the wall for him to move on. And by the way, I think if they would have lost to the Suns in 5 or 6 games,
oh yeah,
I think it was a 100% certainty that they would have traded him this summer, but they didn't. Like you said, he has fit in very well. He deserves praise, and the circumstance is different than it was 2 years ago, 4 years ago.
I think that something happened to him when he grew up a little, and it's good. I mean, he's suppressed. That ego, that raving ego, is still there, but he has managed to suppress it pretty good. And everybody's talked about the way Edwards is the perfect teammate with him because it's all needling and it's not, hey, this is my team, and it's not that kind of a relationship. So
this is my biggest problem with it. So you love JD Hoyt's, right? JD Hoyt's like one of my favorite restaurants, great restaurant. You are a JD Hoyt's loyalist. You will die on a hill for JD Hoyt's. But if JD Hoyt serves you a wildly undercooked pork chop and some stale Cajun hash browns, you can criticize the meal and still love the restaurant that you have gone to for 30 plus years. Like that concept is foreign to a lot of people, I feel like.
Well, my example is PJ Fleck. Okay, I love needling him because he's a raving egomaniac, but I do not say he shouldn't be the coach of the Gophers and he's done a lousy job. He had
Yeah.
a terrible year last year, but I still, when I agree and that with people say they're not going to hire anybody better, I agree with them. I agree with that, even though I love agitating him because of, you know, crowd surfing his players and running off in front of everybody and running down the sideline and making it all about him. But the Gophers couldn't do any better as a football coach. That's so people.
It's a little too much nuance for me, Pat. I
The
don't know.
modern social media fans have a hard time with the idea that you can have alternate opinions on a guy. You know what you think of him as a person. How
We
would
don't
you
like to operate in the gray
Well,
area.
we don't
No.
do a great job in our end of the business here across the board, though, of helping with that with young fans. There are plenty of
God.
entities in this state that create the notion that if you aren't loyal to the team, that you're somehow not a good fan. So I fault us as well in the media.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's kind of the way we you know, I will admit that you know, there's radio shows in town that the 9 to 12 on the big K fan, you know, which has proven that pandering is the way to go in the, you know, in the local media. The pandering is really works well. But which is the opposite theory that I had when we were on Florida, which was how do we agitate them today? You know, what can we do to needle them today? And obviously, the pandering works much better than
Well,
saying,
I don't know. I
saying,
think you're.
hey,
I
say,
disagree.
hey,
I mean, I feel like we've opened up. This could be a whole conversation, but
yes, right.
the reason why let's just do a ratings discussion. The reason why you felt like that is true is more because of AM versus AM radio and other circumstances. It's a distribution thing more than a content thing.
Well,
I would
hey,
argue. And
however
by
it
the way, your
worked,
podcast numbers are really good and suggest that people do like the way that you and other critical people produce content.
well, anyhow, we can all agree on this. This Wolfies thing is fun, and we haven't had it like that. It's in the you know it's the '87 Twins without the championship yet. But when you wait 20 some years and then it happens, it's fantastic. The unexpected. There's nothing better in sports than the unexpected. And this team, as I point out, was the 16th pick to win the NBA title at 66-1 now you probably couldn't get that in a sports book, but in the numbers that they ran at 66-1 to win the NBA title. And they're probably about 4-1 now. So anyway.
Yeah. Amen.
Awesome.
All right, Pat. Well, we'll talk to you. Get positive Pat in full force this week, folks. If you were looking for positive Pat, you're getting him this week. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
All right. All right. See you at the yard, fellas. Goodbye.
All
See you,
right.
buddy.
There he is. Royce Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold.